Okay, I'm live. Hi, everyone. Just another late night post. Um, Rattling around my head this afternoon, that old quote from Hamlet, where he's saying, "How weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me the pleasures of this world." Yeah, the guy was feeling kind of depressed at the time, and I must say that I'm not depressed, but I am filled with a degree of foreboding, a degree of anxiety around our world circumstances at the moment. I feel a bit like the guy who is at a picnic with friends in brilliant weather, you know, fantastic sunshine, good, the birds flying overhead, chirping away, the butterflies diving in and out of the flowers, and the insects merrily scurrying through the long grass, and this and that, and everybody enjoying their sarnies and their apple pie on the picnic mat. But I feel as if I know that there's a pack of bombers which are flying towards us over the horizon. And I feel as if everybody else at the picnic knows that this incoming fleet of bombers is coming to really assault our way of life. But they're just happy to pretend it's not happening. And because the weather's so beautiful and the butterflies are so pretty and the birds are chirping away so sweetly in the background, it's okay. Let's just forget it all and get on with the great food that we got right here in front of us. I'm going to talk about four taboos. Taboos which we all prefer to bury our head in the sand over. The first one I call hostages. Every community has a cohort of people who were maybe better educated, better trained. They've had a few more breaks and opportunities in life, and as a result of which they people kind of world class, world standard organizations as executives. These are the people who have their fingers on the levers of power. They rub shoulders with the great and the good. They could really influence so much by technical observation of their circumstances. But when these people are people of African origin, it doesn't matter how highly placed they seem to be, they're all hostages. They're hostages because it's almost as if they have acquired those positions due to the sufferance of other people. Now, the people who gave them those positions are aware of this. The people who hold those positions are aware of it. It's the elephant in the corner of the room that everybody agrees not to discuss. But it's very, very, very real. Basically, they are a cosmetic embellishment to what's going on. So when I see people like the head of the WTO, Tedros of the World Health Organization, even the leader of South Africa in a majority black country, I feel as if they're all hostages. They're all working. It's like sitting on top of a Saturn V rocket, massive booster underneath you. You're the astronaut sitting at the top of it all, but really the power isn't in your hands. If there's one technical glitch beneath you has happened, and that disaster on the launch pad in America, everything goes kaboom and the whole thing falls apart. So we have many of these highly placed hostages. They're here in Britain, they're over there in America. There are a few running around in Europe. There are a few running around in the interstatal international organizations, IMO, World Bank, the IFC, the World Health Organization, UNESCO, all of these things. These are very, very highly placed people, including our own Annan, who was Secretary General of the UN. But really, they're all hostages because they're there at the sufferance of someone else. And while we go, wow, it's the first black person to do this and the first black woman to do that and so on and so forth, they're still hostages. They're still a cosmetic embellishment to that environment. For me, that's a worry. For me, that's one of the bombers that's coming from over the horizon to come and bomb our picnic. First, taboo. Second taboo are the silent Africans. You know, because of who I am and how I was raised, I know in my bones how smart Africans are. I would say, well, it's possibly purely and simply because of my background. Actually, the smartest people in the world I know happen to be African. But then maybe I know more Africans on an intimate basis than any other, demographic. So I'm not saying Africans are the most intelligent people in the world, not by any stretch of the imagination. Don't get me wrong, that's not what I'm saying. But I do know that the brightest, the smartest people I know happen to be Africans. So from which I work backwards and say that this idea that the Africans are all stupid is just, it's one that's thrown up by white supremacists pour encourager les autres in their cultures to, make ordinary white people or people of European origin feel superior. It's a falsehood. It's a complete falsehood. So there are lots and lots of smart Africans, but they never talk in public. Last one I heard to speak in public was, in a big way, Kwame Nkrumah was one. Jomo Kenyatta was another. Robert Mugabe was another. Nelson Mandela, yeah. Cyril Ramaphosa talks, and I understand that man speaks 16 languages. Now, is he smart or what? From a standing start, he's a multi-millionaire. So he's done very well for himself. You can't be stupid and achieve that. Neither can you steal that kind of money either. So he's capable. He's very, very, very able. But Africans only talk to each other about their circumstances. They don't talk to the people that really matter, the people who usually present themselves as the stone in their shoe that's obstructing their future ambitions. They never speak up to the rest of the world, except for in very scripted situations. I've heard the president of my country, Nanadu Adudankwa, make a couple of fantastic speeches. I particularly like it when he speaks French. I think it's so cool. But of course, that's not a measure of what the human being is. But I do admire, multiple linguistics in a person. So, but it's all very scripted. That conversation he did with Macron when he was talking about reimagining the future of Africa, it all looks good. Then there was another speech he made over in Switzerland where he was talking about us refining our own cocoa in Ghana to add more value so that the ordinary cocoa farmer and indeed the country could make more money out of it and so on. All of that sounded and looked very good, but it was highly, highly scripted. When I look at social channels here in the UK, if there are others, please put them in the notes under this video. I would love to meet them. I want to hear others who speak in the plane, out in public, on a regular basis about the situation of people of African origin and so on and so forth. Most of us are very vociferous to each other, and then in public, zip, we're mute. That's the second taboo. Silent Africans. A third one is about the global conspiracy, which you would have to be blind not to be aware of. And let me segue onto something else. Um, One of the things I'm noticing is as if a lot of people's response to the pandemic, the way information around it is being censored, the way multiple viewpoints are being suppressed, the way there isn't a free and frank discussion of alternative medical strategies, social strategies, economic strategies. All of that has been muted into one kind of mainstream strategy. And we don't know. I don't know who created that strategy because it wasn't me. And I do know by talking with people privately that there are lots and lots and lots of different ways of skinning that particular cat, but it's all off the agenda. So people's reaction to it is almost as if we were all autistic. Now, this is not to speak ill of autistic people. Um, uh, what is known though is that people who present as being autistic um, have great difficulty reading social cues. They have difficulty reading social signals. They have difficulty with lots of relational skills that we require to lead kind of a smooth life as human beings. And on the other hand, when it comes to anything which involves data analysis, data manipulation, science, tech, I mean, most people who are on the spectrum would probably leave the average neurotypical person for dead in the, in their slipstream. So this isn't about autism bad, neurotypicality good. No, I'm not saying that at all. But I am saying that people's reaction is like, you know, a bunch of autistic people who are having to interpret social cues, which is, and they're making a real meal of it. And one of the things that I'm finding very, very difficult to understand, and again, if you have a solution to this, please let me be the first, the first to know. Please share in your comments. Some of us get what's going on in the world, and others either so desperate to escape it that they shut their eyes tight and refuse to comprehend what's going on, or they see all the signals in front of them and they go like 1 plus 1 equals 375.95 recurring. They get the interpretation completely wrong. And to this date, this is one of the greatest conundrums of life at the moment. I can't predict who's going to get it and who is not going to get it. It's got nothing to do with their educational standard. It's got nothing to do with their age. It's got nothing to do with their demographic standing. It's got nothing to do with their whether they're religious or not religious. The only thing I find slightly upweighted is that it seems to me people who are on the right end of the political spectrum are likely to be more cautious about the ongoing narratives that are being played out. So that's the only thing I can say is that people who are right of center seem to be the ones who get it with greater acuity than others, which for me is really uncomfortable because, to be honest with you, I am not right. I used to be. I am not right of center anymore. I'm definitely left of center in my attitudes to politics, to political economics, and that sort of thing. So the global conspiracy, call it what you will, is going on at the moment. And its hallmarks are massive censorship, muting of voices, a campaign of fear caused as much by the muting of alternative voices, which may provide comfort and explanations to people, as much as the muting of of self-expression, which itself just kind of builds up the pressure in human beings to the point where they don't know what they can say, they don't know what they can't say. And that kind of dislocation is really causing people a lot of, I mean, for some people, it's actually mental health problems, but these problems are there. So people are really struggling with this global conspiracy. The fourth taboo is what I call us versus them. The thing about us versus them is who is us and who is them. Now, I believe that one of the biggest problems facing Western civilization is racism and racial supremacism. But there is a consistent line between that and its attitude towards anything that it can't control. So whatever Western civilization encounters, it must first subvert, first paint as inferior, first paint as wrong, so that its people will then feel quite clear in their conscience either to destroy that thing, exploit that thing, or subvert that thing. This is in the pattern of the history. So there's racism. But the problem regarding the pandemic and its outcomes and its outputs is it's panracial. Um, actually, if we are to believe the statistics, and I do believe a lot of these statistics have been massaged upwards to fan the fear, to aid the vaccine and the medication or the medical strategy rollout, is that uh, the people who suffered the most so far are Western Europeans. They've died. More of them have died than anybody else. Um, and even though there were predictions by Bill and Melinda Gates, specifically Melinda Gates, that the bodies would be piling up kind of several feet high in the streets in Africa, so far it hasn't happened. Well, let's just say so far. I say so far because these people have also been uncanny in all of their predictions so far. I mean, they say something and it comes to pass. If not sooner, often later. We hope that trend will stop. But that's the thing about us v them. So the us actually includes black people, people of African origin, and people of other ethnic origins. So the us is all of us, and the them appears to be those in the very tiny elite who are completely untouched by any of this. Those would be the people who've actually created billions for themselves during the course of this pandemic. Now, you and I have mostly lost our income. I've been hugely affected in income by the situation of the pandemic, but that would make me one of us, not one of them. And the them are the oligarchs that you would expect to include your founders of Tesla, Facebook, Amazon, um, uh, the big digital networks like Google, Alphabet, and so on. These people have made exponentially vast profits as a result of the crisis that we're facing. So the us is like 99%, and the them is 1%. And actually, membership of the them has got nothing to do with ethnicity, which is why I believe that this construct about race and supremacism was something that was created by them to stop their own people recognizing what was being done to them because they were given somebody else to look down on and to oppress. So that's it. These are the things that, I mean, all four of these things are each like a stealth bomber carrying multiple warheads coming to wreck our picnic. And because I know they're coming over the horizon, it's very difficult for me to disengage from that and enjoy the Pims kind of chilled in a whatchamacallit, in a thermos flask, and the sarnies, which are all very lovely. And the I kept saying apple pie because it's what was, I don't know, I've got a craving for it at the moment. An apple pie and all the lovely goodies that we see here in front of us. And it seems to me a lot of social media is like that picnic, and trying to enjoy the picnic with eyes wide shut, pretending these taboos that we fear to talk about are coming to come and ruin our party. All I can say, please try and talk about these things, because it doesn't matter how sweet the sarnie you're munching on is today. This problem is coming for you, and it's coming for you sooner rather than later. And until we crack it, it doesn't matter how good that 30-minute or 2-hour picnic was, it's going to end in tears. Thanks very much.